everyone, how's it going? Happy Saturday. I just want to leave a quick little video intro here to let you guys know that the special video that I'm releasing today is episode 1 of the Supercast, which is a weekly cast that I'll be doing with Aaron Anthony, otherwise known as Mr. Waffles. That's his YouTube channel. All his information will be in the description below, but please, guys, check him out. He is a fantastic player, fantastic person in the community. He's the admin to the community discussion group, and he's also been head judging some of the events. So he's been working really closely with a lot of top players and stuff to really kind of figure out our game and be, honestly, the first real judge we have. So please, guys, give him all your support because it's a real sacrifice to really, be a judge instead of playing. And he is for sure a fantastic player. So anyway, the Supercast is a weekly cast that me and him will be doing every Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern time. You can check that out on Twitch. My Twitch information will be in the description below. If you guys come and join us, you can come talk to us live. At the end of every episode, we do a little FAQ section too, so you guys can ask questions, let us know what you think. Anyway, guys, please enjoy the video. Let me know in the comments section below what topics you would like for us to cover, what we can do better to make this podcast better, and just really this is something for you guys. We just wanted to kind of give back to the community and give this really fun kind of weekly show. So enjoy the show, guys. I hope you like it, and again, have a wonderful Saturday. All right, guys. So welcome to the first ever Dragon Ball Super Card Game Supercast, and I'm here with Aaron Anthony, the admin of the Dragon Ball Super discussion community. Is that what it is? A community discussion group, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Definitely. And so this is going to be like a weekly cast that I do. Anthony will make it as much as he can, and if there's a week that he can't make it, I'll just pop somebody else in here. We also might have some guests some weeks, have tons of topics to talk about. If you guys want to see the topics, they're right above us up here. We're going to be covering the ARG New Jersey event that you were in, right? You went there, right?
Yep, I was a judge, yeah.
Head judge, there he is. And then we're going to cover some green spoilers, some of our favorite spoilers and stuff, kind of skim over that. And then we're going to talk about the new caller that was kind of teased, which is really interesting, super exciting. And then possibly the most exciting news, for me at least, is the ARG Regionals Announcement that Jim announced last night, which is pretty cool, pretty awesome. And that's it. But before we get started, I'm going to let Aaron talk a little bit about his week. What are you thinking about Super this week, man? How did your week go? What have you been into? What do you have planned?
Yeah. So this week I've been a little bit under the weather. I don't know if I caught like a bug or something like that, but I'm trying to recover. So if you see me trying to wipe my nose, I apologize, beforehand. It's just sickness. But as for Super, it's been a crazy couple of days. I think my body's being run down to the brink simply because I've had the New Jersey ARG event on Saturday, judging all day, and then Sunday Bandai came to my local, and that was a good experience. And we had dinner with Bandai and Jim, and I judged yesterday at my local, so it's been a lot of fun, a lot of work, but
yeah, it
all
sounds
good
like
stuff.
you've put in a lot of work in this week. Yeah, a lot of judging it. Awesome. All right, guys. So right before we get started, I want to let you know that you can check out Aaron Anthony's YouTube page by clicking the little Mr. Waffles button on the bottom. That's what he goes by. That's his Octagon name, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, yep. And your YouTube name, it's just right there in the bottom little section. You can click that. And if you want to check out my YouTube and Facebook, it's right there as well. It's a little YouTube button, little Facebook button. You just click those. It'll take you right to it. And all right, so I'll do the same thing I just had you do. This week has been pretty hectic for me as well. I had a lot of content. I've been working on a lot of stuff, which has been pretty exciting. And then I have our BCC battle locally tomorrow, which I have a new deck I kind of brewed up to test out there. And then this weekend I have another shop tournament to go to as well. So I've got a lot of tournaments coming up, a lot of footage and stuff to shoot. So really excited about that and cannot wait. But let's go ahead and get started and get into the first topic, which is the ARG New Jersey event, which you just did a great segue for us when you're in your thing, and you told us that you judged the event. And so let's talk a little bit about the judging. What did you think about that? Like, how did it go? Is there anything you would change? Is there anything that might not went as well as you thought it could have? Or
I know that when the whole event and everything like that happened, like I said, it was a really good event. A lot of the stuff were implemented were fairly new because we were testing out, knowing that the regionals, which you're going to get into later, are going to kind of follow those same kind of guidelines. So a lot of it was kind of me learning on the fly about certain things. Normally, I'm the person that plays games. I don't really judge events. So, this was a whole new experience for me. kind of being on the opposite end. So I wanted to make sure like my rulings were correct and I was updated on the rules and everything. But in terms of the event itself, I know like the whole best of one, best of three argument that kind of keeps going on in the group. And which is also healthy discussion because this is pretty much like the future of the game. So it's very important that people are discussing this and things like that. I personally think after the event, I know for my locals we kind of switched over to best of one, simply because of time restraints. Especially when we had tournament packs, we were having like 33 players, so to do best of three was pretty long.
Right,
it wouldn't,
sure.
games wouldn't end until close to midnight, and that was just way too long. But for this event, we had 32 players, which was a great showing.
Yeah, it's an awesome showing.
We,
Yeah,
we
definitely.
didn't have that many people. We had a couple people went into time, but it wasn't anything that it took a lot of time to kind of establish end of time procedure or end of turn procedure or whatever. It was more so since there was a lot of new stuff, we were using like a new software that Bandai is using for to keep track of the wins and losses and everything like that.
Oh,
so
now did they use the software they use at Gen Con that like you could check your pairings on your cell phone and stuff? Did they use that
I'm
same
not
kind of
sure like the name of what it is entirely. I know like a lot of Japanese games use that software. I know Final Fantasy does.
Oh, cool.
And it's actually a really good software.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah. I was going to say it's awesome. I mean, the one they used at Gen Con was awesome. I mean, I know my friends on Facebook were wondering how well I was doing. I just sent them that link, and they could watch the pairings and see how I was ranking. And
Yeah,
how
that's
my wins and
awesome.
losses. That was really cool. It was a really neat thing. Like, I'm sorry I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead. So you were
Oh
saying?
no, it's fine, dude. But yeah, so we had new software, so some people would like learn how to use that, at least for the basics, just to get the tournament kind of running. So a lot of the excess time wasn't due to time itself, which I guess would advocate for best of three. But the people that went into time, it was more so just me understanding again how the time procedures was because Bandai never had any official time procedure on how things are in like certain formats. A lot of the rulings were suggested rulings at the time. So what I was used to like 0, 1, 2, 3 turn procedure, and then at the end of turn 3, whoever had the most life would be declared the winner. But in this game, since a lot of decks kind of, especially now, we have 2 leaders that already inflict damage to themselves. So we know that life, having more life doesn't mean you're always winning. We decided that going forward, at least in my locals, that at the end of time, after X amount of turns, if both players still didn't finish, both players would get a draw. And that's how it was for this event at ARG New Jersey. The way it was pretty much instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, if you're going, if it's both players are tied 1-1, and it's the player going second, and it's his turn on time. After his turn, the game would end. If it's turn player, let's say it's game 3, and I decide to go first, and time was called on me, I would finish my turn, and then my opponent would finish his turn, and then it would end. And if life hasn't been like when it hasn't been determined in that amount of time, both players will get a draw. So it's basically 0, 1, 2, 3 again turn procedure, but it's just cut short. It's just basically like 0 and 1, or 0 depending on who is the turn player or player.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I know at Gen Con they did, it was best of one, but they did, I think, 25-minute rounds, and then at time, both players lost. So it was like a very aggressive format. It was very like fast-paced and stuff. So I like that both players just get a draw. I think that's a pretty simple turn procedure to figure out, and I think it leads to, it doesn't favor one deck on the other. Which if it went by life, then it might favor like aggro decks, or if it went by how many cards in your deck or something, it might again favor a different type of deck. So I like that. I like that it stays neutral and it's just purely about time, which is I think a very smart way to do it.
I agree, because like you said, a lot of decks have different functions, and so it hurts to penalize, someone for playing a certain deck that inflicts damage to themselves and have less life,
Right,
so.
right. Yeah, because again, we don't know what's down the pipeline too. There might be a deck that actually just wants to, you want to hit yourself. You want to kind of like Vegeta now, but like a deck that's actually kind of designed around it. So that would really shut down that that format completely if it was like
exactly.
So, yeah, that's smart. Yeah. So moving on. So after the judging and stuff, we had obviously the top 8 decks. And, I kind of want to skim through the top 8 decks, talk a little bit about that. And when you're there, you got to see some of them perform. And there were some exciting decks as well. And so, by the way, guys, in the chat, if you want to see it, I'll go ahead and link it. But there's a website called DBS Headquarters. And they actually have all the top 8 decks there. I'll go ahead and link them here. So I'm going to do that there. And you guys can check that out. Let me get this pop back up here so I can talk about them. And so the top 8 decks, we had 3 starter Goku decks, which were blue-green decks. Have you seen that deck in play at all, Aaron? Have you got to play against it or anything?
Have I seen it, dude? You have no idea. So one of the players who goes to my locals, phenomenal player, his name is Brendan Ackerson. He actually top 8'd at this event. He was the one that I would say made the deck, because obviously, no one can really own a deck.
Right.
I know in my locals, he was the first person to really pilot that deck and kind of craft it from the ground up. And, he knew that this deck was probably like one of the best decks in the format. Everyone was saying Vegeta, which I think Vegeta is really good. I just know that this deck is phenomenally like powerful as well.
Yeah.
Just being able to combine Gotenks with, Soul Striker Son Goku's untappability is just insane. You're basically playing a Gotenk for 1. It's pretty unheard of. It's pretty disgusting
and
stuff.
you combine that with Sensu Bean, and a lot of times you can just untap completely, you know what I mean? And keep putting more pressure on your opponent. I mean, it's a very, very strong ability for sure.
Yeah, it's a really strong mid-range tempo kind of deck. It just late game, like, it's I think probably one of the best decks right now in the game. It's been dominating my locals like every time it always tops because, you have the access of the green and blue, and it's really just Gotenks, man. Like, he's one of the key cards with that because you untap 2 energy, so you untap 2 green, and then if you're awakened, you swing with the Goku leader, and then you untap 2 blue. So and you draw 2 cards, one for the Gotenks and one for the Goku.
Right.
And Gotenks, I think, is a little bit strong because 25k to be able to untap 2 and draw and have double strike is a lot. With no real downside, and it can evolve too as well over Gotenks. So
I mean, and it's really over curve too. I mean, honestly, like 25k is over. I mean, most 5 drops are around 20k. At least the ones we see play, and so 25 is nothing to laugh at. Plus, it has a bunch of positives to go with that, right? It's not just like it's 25k and draws you a card or something. I mean, Princess Speed Vegeta is a good example, right? He's 20k and draws you 2 cards, and that's not that much better than drawing just 1 card.
And he costs 3 blue.
Yeah, he's very unsplashable.
Gotenks at least cost like either 4 green or 3 green, or I don't know, like maybe something like that. So
sure, have a little bit of a downside, right?
Yeah, something. I think it's too many positives. So that card just kind of really just changes the tempo of the game. It's just, but yeah, that deck in itself is just very, very, very strong.
No, I mean, it shows too. I mean, it put 3 players into top 8. That's a big deal. I mean, that's almost half of the top 8, which is pretty big deal. The next deck that put 2 players in top 8 was Blue Red Champa. That's a deck that we've seen a lot of too. I mean, that was I think what Anthony played at Gen Con as well, and I think there's a couple other players playing that. And I know my local was like, I can't go to an event without seeing at least 2 or 3 Champas playing Blue Red as well. So
yeah, very popular combination. Being able to have the access of all the blue good cards, whether it be Objection or Sensu Bean, or even the best negate in the game. So it only makes sense, and plus Champa's giving you free card advantage, so it's a win all around in that sense. It's no surprise. Just I would like to see more variation with that in terms of maybe like a different color with. Revolves around Champa, but I can't really fault anyone for playing blue because it's probably the most established color right now that
it's just what I tell people, and everyone always tells me blue's overpowered and stuff. I don't think it's necessarily overpowered. I think it's just a really good. It's a very splashable color currently.
Exactly.
You have Sensu Bean, you have the Whis' Corrosion counter, which is like you said, one of the best counters in the game. It just has a lot of really good splashable cards, and that's going to happen in any game. You know what I mean? You're going to have that one color, especially in one set. You know what I mean? That's going to kind of dominate as far as splashing and stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, we had a Sun Gohan, blue-green Sun Gohan. I mean, that's another really good deck. It's very aggressive, like you said, kind of mid-rangey. Lets you draw cards, whether you're awakened or not. So it's another very solid deck. We also had a blue-green Vegeta deck, which is my baby, right? That's the deck I've been playing and talking a lot about on my channel. Again, very solod deck. I agree with you, though. I think the starter Goku leader might be a little bit better than Vegeta, but the problem is when you get into that discard matchup, Vegeta's going to awaken, and, the starter Goku isn't for sure going to awaken, right? He relies on result of training or just taking damage to flip. And so the Vegeta player can discard those cards out of his hand and make it so he can't awaken. I actually think the Vegeta green blue made it to top 4, right? And then none of the Sun Gokus did.
Yeah, if I
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because one of them, the last one, I think got knocked out in top eight. Who lost to the Gohan deck.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. And then the last deck, which is the one I want to spend a little bit of time talking on, I think was kind of the talk of the tournament, which was the Ginyu deck, the 3-color Ginyu deck. And I'll let you talk a little bit about that first since you were there. But like I said, I mean, this is by far the most popular deck and a very interesting deck. And what did you think about that deck? Did you get to see it in action?
Yeah, I saw some. Jordan Marco, very great player. He was really good at the old Panini game. So no surprise that he's doing really well in this one as well. It took me by surprise because I know he was saying that blue yellow Vegeta was the best deck, and it's crazy because almost every week it's something's always the best
Right.
deck.
Yeah.
Like the flavor of the week, and I think it's really good for the game to see
Yes.
how many things people are exploring just in this first set where you can't really be so definitive what you might call the best deck because the meta is pretty wide open in this game, to be
Oh yeah.
honest
Oh,
with
you
you.
can talk about just looking at this top eight. I mean, what we have 1, 2, 3, 5 different decks in top eight, which is
Yeah.
for one set is absurd. I mean, usually when you just have one set in a game, I know almost every other game I've played, at least 1 or 2 decks will just shoot to the top because there's not that many cards to work with, right? There's not that many.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's not that many different routes you can go. But this game has tons. I mean, tons of customization. And like you said, I can imagine next week just being another good deck. You know what I mean? And that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic for our game. So
Yeah. Next thing you know, everyone's screaming about Hit and how OP it is. So
definitely. That's
just
actually
wait.
a funny topic because that's actually the first leader I tried to play with was Hit. I saw that card. I was like, this card is bonkers. It gets
Yeah.
15,000 the first turn. Oh my God. And it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
obviously didn't turn out that way, but I thought he was awesome. Yeah. So real quick, guys, I also want to talk about this before we talk a little bit about Jordan's deck is I'm going to link Jordan's YouTube video where he kind of talks about the deck, kind of goes over it. Like I said, our main goal here is to strengthen the community, right? And so when we get these awesome content creators and stuff, we need to spread information and show people what they can do. And so that's Jordan's Jordan's YouTube. His YouTube is, I think, Big Boy, if I wrote that down correctly. And in that video I just linked, he talks about the deck. He goes over his choices and stuff, and it was a fantastic deck. And one thing I'll say about the deck is this type of deck is a deck we see prop up in almost every type of game, especially in one set. And that's a deck where we just take all the good cards and all the callers and just shove them into one deck. And that's what happened
Yeah.
with this Ginyu deck. You have Ginyu, which is, card advantage, and he has the ability to awaken, which counters the hand destruction decks. And then you have, Cold Bloodlust, you have Sensu Bean, you have Crusher Ball, you have Luis's Incursion. You have all these awesome, cards where honestly, if I made a top 5 best cards in this set, I bet you all 5 of those cards would be in this deck. And that's
Right.
always going to happen. And someone always figures it out. And when they do, that deck is always strong until someone figures out how to beat it, like you said. So, very good job by Jordan, and the deck is fantastic. I know I had some people in my group that has been playing it, and they've said nothing but good things about the deck. So awesome job. And I wish they would have played it out, man. I would like to see what deck would have won. And I kind of feel like it would have been this deck, man. I kind of feel like Jordan would have took it. I see that he has some pretty good matchups here in the top 4, and I really think he would have done a great job.
Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
So is there anything else you want to talk about the ARG event? Anything else you want to add before we move on to the next topic?
Just closing notes. Again, even though it was best of 3, there were a lot of new things that were kind of spawned upon at the event. So like, with the software, there was some like errors with that, but we managed to get that fixed up. And then me just trying to understand the time procedure better since that was the first time I was kind of dealing with like the new time procedure. So even though it probably felt longer, it wasn't that bad as because it was best of 3, taking like a long time, people going to time. The players that did went to time, again, that was mainly just to verify. I was talking with Jim just to make sure the procedure went properly and that the winner was established properly. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, people in chat just let me know that my name tag says Disty. My bad, guys. Sorry. That happens. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, in Bandai, I'll tell you this. This is the first game I've played that's been a Bandai game. I've never played a Bandai card game or a video game or anything. And so, whenever I went to that Gen Con event, I was blown away by the support, by the judges, just by how they, were so thankful and so, they just showed so much overwhelming support for this game, especially it being just like a new game at the time. And I'd say I'm so excited to work with Bandai. Like I said, I just think it's, to be a player in this game, I think is awesome. I mean, even their judges were dressed up like, like Goku and stuff. And you can tell they had so much fun with this game and they had so much fun with this IP. And it's just like, I just can't wait to see what they do with this game. I'm very excited.
Same, man.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's move on to the next topic here, which we'll be talking about, which is the green spoilers. So this, every week on Friday, right? It's like Friday at I think 3 a.m. my time. It's usually about midnight. Whenever you live at, it's midnight West Coast, 3 o'clock East Coast, and I guess 2 if you live in Central or whatever. Bandai releases the new spoilers for this game, and so this week was. Or I guess last week was the green spoilers, and so those were really exciting, right? A lot of people were talking about those. It seems like people were a lot more. They had a lot more things to say about these green spoilers than they did the blue spoilers. And so, what cards were your favorite? What cards were you the most excited about?
I really like the I think it costs 4. Your opponent discards 2 cards from their hand. That was one of the cards I really enjoyed because
Yeah.
I think hand disruption in this game, or in any game, is always crucial, and I just like the aspect that it really does disrupt the flow because in this game, you draw a lot of cards. You sometimes see more than half your deck kind of thing. So I thought it was definitely a card that I would really tailor to, especially like with the Broly engine or just Broly in general to kind of really mess up my opponent's hand because then that's like less options that you kind of give them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll tell you on that note, I know a long time ago, Wizards of the Coast, actually, they released a survey into all their players, and they had them vote on the mechanic that they disliked the most. And overwhelmingly, everyone chose discard cards out of their hand. Everybody hates that because you look at your hand and you see this play you're going to make. You're like, in 2 turns, I got to play this guy. And then when your opponent makes you discard him, it's like, oh man, like that was my play. That's what I wanted to do, right? And so this card, like I said in my video, it's going to work really well with the hand destruction decks. It gives them another tool, gives them another threat. It also makes them not so reliant on the Broly line too. They can cut out the Bio Broly if they want and use this card instead, and then use the big drop Broly to still take cards out of their hand. So I think it's going to let those decks attack at a different angle, and it is a fantastic card. It's something that I'm very excited about as well. I think it's going to be really neat.
Yeah, I mean, basically offsets your opponent's awaken, which is good. Mm-hmm. So just to kind of, it's a -1 for you and it's a neutral for them, but I think overall it's good for just control decks too. They finally get some good support because a lot of times, a lot of people, my locals kind of play the Beerus deck with Whis, 12 drop Whis and whatnot. And it stinks because, if you're not playing a leader that can discard cards for their hand, or it really hurts because you can't really get the card out of your hand unless you have to kind of force it through. So I'm glad that this adds another outlet to just really like disrupt all that, potentially take away 20k combo. It's pretty good stuff.
Oh no, it's awesome. I'll tell you what, man. I noticed with this spoiler and the blue spoiler that Bandai's doing a good job of keeping the current format or like the current decks that are good, give them new tools to play with. With the Beerus deck you just talked about, they got that priest on the first week that turns all their gods into energy acceleration. They're giving hand destruction more cards. It's really cool. I like to see that. I'm really excited when we see yellow to see if Frieza gets some more, tools as well. I think it's going to be really neat. Like, I'm really excited that because a lot of games they'll forget about the current decks when they make a new set, right? And it's cool that they keep giving the old decks some new tools to play with. I think that's really neat.
Same.
I'd say one of the cards I'm super excited about from those green spoilers is the 2-drop Goku that draws you a card. I am super pumped for that guy. He's going to be he's another draw effect. We see how good Boo is, and then he's also going to be really good in the Vegito decks too. He gives those decks a draw effect and another energy that can be any of the 3 colors that Vegito can red, blue, and green. So it's awesome. I think that card's going to be super cool. It's another one of those cards I think that's kind of flying under people's radar right now. But it's going to be probably an auto include in a lot of different decks.
Yeah, I just love the direction of the cards so far. It almost feels like an entirely different game, simply because it's like I was telling a bunch of people over and over again that the game now is not really based on color like how in set 1 is with everyone kind of splashing like the best colors of cards. The cards now are really based on basically characters. A lot of stuff would say like search your deck for a certain character or add a certain character to hand. So it's more tailored towards playing your deck based on the character or characters.
Right, definitely. No, I agree 100%. And I think another cool thing about this game too that I think a lot of people haven't talked about yet is that like you're not actually even restricted by your leader either. I mean, a lot of games that I play, if you pick a blue leader, then you have to have blue cards in your deck, right? Or you have to have so many things has to kind of match your leader. In this game, I mean, you can have red and yellow cards and play a green leader. You know what I mean? Like it's really neat. I mean, it opens up so many possibilities and stuff for decks. And so, is there any other cards in green that you're excited about? How about the leaders? Which one's your favorite leader?
I know it sounds obvious, but I'm really, outside of, for the green, I really like Gohan,
Mhm.
I really, really do. For some reason, I know he doesn't do much at all. I think it's a leader that, the cards have to kind of be tailored around it. I mean, even seeing, if you're kind of going for the kill. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do. You can probably run the cards that discard card from your hand, the 4 drop that discards 2 cards from your opponent's hand, a Broly line to kind of limit their resources. Like if you're running like blue green, you can even run Xeno and limit their hand to 5 and kind of go in for the kill, depending like what it is and whatnot. I feel like there's a lot of options, and I know it's kind of gimmicky, but I just like it, because it's like, hey, I mean, a lot of people want a best of 3, and this card makes it happen. You can
Right.
just
Yeah.
use the effect and just lose next turn and then go on the game too.
Definitely. Yeah, and talking about Gohan, a lot of people don't notice that his effect is actually a battle effect. You
Yes,
don't use
yeah.
it. You don't use it like before, so you just get negated and you lose. It's like you use it, as a combo. That's very
Yeah.
important. That's very, it's important to make him, actually playable, in my opinion. I think if it was just like you had to use it in the main phase, I don't know if you could actually afford to play him.
Oh, he'll definitely be worse than hit because he just literally just you lose the game. There's, but it's past negation stuff, so you attack and then they're just, and what's really cool about it is because depending on the game state, if they do have negates, you're already making certain cards in their hand dead, just by attacking, because they either have to use it first, where you don't have to use obviously the effect, but if they say no negate, you can just try and combo out and just do one big final attack, hence the one-handed Kamehameha, right?
Right, dude. Yeah,
So it's
I
very
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I love Gohan. I love that like kid Gohan too. I think he's so cool in the Cell Saga and stuff. I mean, it's so neat, and like I'm glad he's getting a little bit of love this set. He's getting a lot of cards, and it's like it makes me excited because he's by far my favorite Gohan. When he grows up, I think he turns into a little wussy, but like in that stage, he just like wrecks stuff. And it's really cool. I'd say I'm really excited about the Android leaders. I think they're going to be awesome. I mean, they're so cool. I know a lot of people were talking. I guess my question for you, as far as the androids go, is: do you think they get 20,000 on their awakened side, or do you think they're not going to get 20,000? What do you think?
Yeah, so my brother-in-law, for those who don't know, is Shady Penguin, who's so he has like close to like 500,000 subs on YouTube. So shout out to Shady Penguin.
What's
He
up,
does a lot
Shady?
of Pokemon videos and whatnot, and game videos in general. So he asked Bandai when they came on Sunday that question, and he said that they just get the 5K because Android 17/18 is considered like one character.
Sure. Okay.
So they would only just get the boost since it's not Android 17 and Android 18 as 2 separate kind of characters.
Oh,
So
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, there you go. That settles that then. That's awesome.
and also note that the Sun Gohan, the Teen Gohan, when it awakens, it's Son Goku / Son Gohan adolescent. So Son Goku and Son Gohan are also one character on the awakened side.
Oh, that's
So
cool. So if there's
yes.
so if, for example, if there was a card that said all your Gokus get 5,000 power, it would affect him too.
Yes, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. That's something good to know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Some people are asked about Vegito. Yeah. So Vegito says that all Gokus and Vegetas in all areas. And so that counts as your energy area. It also counts in your deck, counts in your hand, all areas of the game. And so if you play like the 1-drop Goku that lets you look at the top 7 and pick a blue Goku, essentially all Gokus in your deck would also be blue, even if they're green. So you can search out like the 2-drop, draw 1 that we just talked about, or you can search a green Goku, or the big one is the promo red drop Goku. You can search him out with that too. So yeah, it's all in all areas. They're all considered all colors.
Yep, which is really disgusting.
Yeah, it's very, very good. I'm telling you, I know when he first got spoiled, people are like, "Oh my god!" And then he's kind of fallen down a little bit, and I feel like people are starting to sleep on him a little bit because I think he's going to open up some really cool deck builds. I think he's going to be a completely new archetype, and it's going to be really neat to see how people build him. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think even the mirror matches just to see how many builds are going to differ, just because it's Vegito versus Vegito doesn't mean everyone's going to have the same carbon copy deck, especially as we're going to get more Gokus, obviously, and more Vegetas, since they're like the 2 main characters of the show. So to see that deck is just going to evolve over time, I think that's definitely a leader that's not really going to get phased out too much because, you're always going to have Goku characters and Vegeta characters.
Yes.
So, really interesting to see how it kind of all plays out, not to mention just seeing the different builds. So like if, let's say, top 8 of a deck, they had like 4 Vegetos, to see how different each one kind of is,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
what is the same.
that's something I never thought about, but you're right. I mean, they can literally be so different. You know what I mean? You could do like mono blue if you wanted. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it could literally be just completely different. Which is so neat and it's really cool. Yeah, I'm really excited for Vegito. I can't wait to start building with him. Okay, did you have anything else you want to talk about with the green spoilers? Any other cards that kind of grab your attention? How about
Yeah,
Tien? Let's
that's
talk
pretty
about
much
Tien.
it.
I think we
Oh,
have
yeah,
to
sure.
talk about him, right? I think that's everybody's talking about Tien, right? That's like that's the big one. What do you think about Tien? Do you think he's the best card in the whole game, like people are saying? Do you think he's like what do you think?
So what I think is, again, since we act for best of 3, this is another way to kill yourself. So it's so Bandai's giving us stuff. If you don't want to play if you don't like best of 3, you can just go on a game 2 by using this effect and just kill yourself. But for the card itself, I think is a very powerful effect. So one thing that I really like about the set so far is one, seeing how a leader is already awakened at different life, hence you playing around certain things and your opponent kind of trying to make the most out of that, knowing that like Zamasu is 2 life, Andrews is 6, so it's really cool to really see that aspect. And then now we have it with the combo where Tien costs 2 energy to combo for 10,000, so it's a gamble which we never really seen before.
Yeah, I know.
So I think in respect with Tien, I think he's such a good card, like basically a 1 card awaken. It's really powerful, and just being able to, again, it's a big risk because you have to either pay 3 to hardcast him or pay 2 to kind of bring him out and then use his abilities so that way you can awaken. But I think he's definitely going to be a game changer for a lot of decks. I think if Tien sees more play, I think Jocko is a good counter to that. Simply, if your opponent combos and they waste 2 energy for Tien, and then you Jocko to bounce it back to their hand,
Yeah, that's a good point.
you can really just do a lot of damage, and really punish your opponent for that kind of overextension in a way. So if Tien does see a rise in play, I think people should start looking to mainboard Jocko as a good counter to that.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, talk about Tien. One thing I've been really surprised about this game is how well it's balanced. And I don't mean just like, in like top decks or whatever, but just in like how all the effects seem to have a pretty good downside. There's a couple outliners we've talked about, whatever, but it seems like for example, Jace is a good example in our current set where you play him out, you look at the top 3, you can choose a Ginyu, but on the card it's like you can't choose Jace, right? You could pick him, but he doesn't get his effect again. They specifically say that on the card, and you can't choose Ginyu, right? And it's like they always find these cool ways to balance these cards. It's like they think, it's like a lot of times when you play these games and you see them, you play the game, you're like, did they even have playtesters? Like, did they even test this game?
Yeah, right.
With this game, I've never thought about that, right? I've always been like, like every time I think I've broken it, I read the card again. I'm like, nah, never mind. They thought of that. You know what I mean? And I think this card is a perfect example of that. It's a perfect example of how, it has a very powerful effect, but after you awaken, like after you get to the awaken, this card's actually pretty bad. He has low power. He really can't pressure their leader. Like you said, he costs 2 to combo. You know what I mean? And it's just like he just doesn't really do anything after you've awakened. He does that job, and then that's it. And so I love that. I love that design. I think that's super smart, and I think he's a very good card. But by no means think he's like super overpowered or an auto include in all the decks or whatever people are talking about.
Yeah, like I said, I know a lot of people who played Bandai games or even Japanese card games in general have a fear that there's going to be some insane power creep all the time, and it's going to just get out of hand. Like I said, I email Bandai quite frequently. I met them in person like 3 times. One thing I really stressed on my friends who were my friend Shady, my brother, when we were there, we emphasized, card balance. We said that, we want to make sure that the game is fairly balanced. And it's right now, even in set 1, again, like you said, we have such a diverse meta, like in top 8 at this ARG. And I think it will continue to be so, simply as long as they make sure that, if something's really good, give it like a good offset. I think certain cards do slip through the cracks, like Gotenks and Sensubin, in my opinion. Sure. But for the most part, I think if they can they follow a certain formula, which I noticed with the like how every card to play it does cost at least 1 color, 1 energy of that color, so you can't just automatically just splash it in. So there's a lot of good balanced designs and stuff, and hopefully they just keep on that track of just watching. If something's really good, that's fine. Just either make it harder to cast, or some kind of offset to kind of make it worth rewarding. And like you said, in the topic of TN is a good example, because after the first time you use it, he's pretty much like, you're going to use it 2 cards to combo for 10k. Like, he's pretty much dead in your hand. So
right.
To really see like the skillful deck building as well for players to find the right ratio of TNs to put in their deck is going to be another challenge in itself.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think TN's a good card, but I think he does come with a very real downside for sure. So is there any other green cards you want to talk about? Any other spoilers?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so far they're all really good stuff.
Okay, awesome. All right, so now we're going to move on to our next topic. Also, guys, let you know, we will be doing like a little, FAQ or question portion at the very end. So if you guys have any questions in the comments, just like, try to save them to then, because right now we're not really paying too much attention to the chat. I apologize, but we'll do a better job with that, hopefully. Okay, so next up is the new caller announcement. Now, so if you guys weren't aware, what happened was they kind of released some teaser pictures of set 3. Right, which we don't know when it's coming out, but they showed us some of the packs, and they announced that they're going to have 2 starter decks. Now, the first starter deck that we saw said that it would be the red starter. It says like red version, and then the next one says new caller version. And so what people are thinking this means, and what it seems to kind of point to, is that there will be a new caller coming to the game. So what do you think about this, Aaron? Do you think we are getting a new caller? Do you think people are reading it wrong? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's crazy, because I always felt like, man, I wish we did had a new color, like, since like even like right now in the first set, not because of like whatever is getting stale, but a lot of the game kind of mirrors like Dokkan Battle, so a lot of the equivalents. And I know with Dokkan Battle there's 5 colors, with Magic there's 5 colors, so we kind of fit in that whole theme of just the 5 colors, and I think that really adds like another cool element to deck building and strategy. I don't know what it might be. It might be gray. I'm not sure if it might be purple to mirror Dokkan Battle.
Sure.
But whatever it is, I'm just really excited about it, just because I can't wait to see what it's all about and how it's going to kind of warp the meta from here on out. And it's crazy how early we got it in set 2, because again, the Japanese game didn't have this, and which is another testament to Bandai's improvement in the development team. And for people who don't know, IC Cardass, that was I guess the clone of this in a sense, had the similar cards with images, but it was a totally different game. And how Bandai really took that and saw like what was really wrong with it and kind of made this game. And like I said, in the other game, they didn't have 5 colors. They only had 4. So for us to even get another color is really mind blowing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll tell you, it's funny that you said both purple and gray, because I assume it's going to be gray, right? I assume that it's going to be like a neutral color that you can splash in any deck or whatever. Because to me, if you do any other color than that, it's going to be extremely hard to implement, right? Because like that color is already 3 sets behind, and it's just really hard to like kind of let that color get caught up. So to me, it almost has to be gray, right? But after hearing you say purple, it could be purple, because you think about it, right now, none of the villains really have another color, right? Like, because Frieza only has like yellow, right? All the Frieza cards we've seen, and so maybe purple could be like a like Black and Magic or whatever, and be kind of like the villain color, right? And a color that just the villains are in, so that's possible, who knows? But I could see both those colors. I would like to see if it wasn't gray, I would like to see like a villain centric color. I think that'd be really cool, like a color that just villains are in. That's their own thing. They have a bunch of like maybe kill spells or something. I think it'd be kind of neat, kind of something a little bit different. What would you like to see the color do? What would you like to see its role be?
Yeah, like, I mean, like, after hearing you say neutral, I think that also makes a lot of sense too, because you would have generic, I guess, effects that can just really work well depending on the deck. So I think I'm kind of torn. Like, I'm 50-50 on it, because if it's a generic color at the same time, where it's like, tap any color for it or whatnot, I think design-wise, it might make it a little bit challenging, just because it'll just become like the new splashable kind of staples that people can just kind of throw into their decks with no thought. Hence, like what Pokemon does, because that game just has a bunch of like staples, like Sycamore, a bunch of stuff that a bunch of staples. But if it's a new color, what I would like to see it do is maybe more like discard pile recursion. Cool. Or something like that. Maybe something where energy can be played from battle cards can be played from your energy area.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, like a lot of engine. Like, yeah, it's like, because I know in a lot of games like this, I know Versus has cards like this, but when they get KO'd, they go into your energy. You know what I mean? And so that might be cool to have like effects like that. Yeah, that's actually really smart. Yeah, that'd be really neat. And that kind of plays in that, right? We have like Shinron, right? Like Shinron's kind of like he brings stuff back from the dead and stuff, so they can kind of play around that kind of mechanic too. So yeah, it'd be really neat. I think that would be a really cool mechanic for that.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at the Batora King Kai's Secret or the Kai Secret, the 4 cost extra card that for Vegito, that doesn't have any color requirement, so that's colorless. So I think they can always add colorless cards, but it doesn't have to be a specific color. They can just make like an extra card that doesn't cost a specific color, and it's
Sure.
a generic card, as opposed to making a whole I guess I would say set, but basically all new cards that are generic that can potentially be broken. Because usually the good generic cards can also have that scale where it can go either way. It can basically hit critical mass depending on the deck.
Right.
At least if it's a certain color, you can't just splash it in. You have to really think about how it's going to be implemented into your deck.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess the downside to a neutral color too is they can make kind of powerful splashable cards, but make it kind of bad because if you put them down as energy, then it's like a colorless energy. You know what I mean? So you wouldn't be able to use it as like for like the Vegito card, for example, that would be a red energy. You know what I mean? So like you could use that to still play red cards. So I guess that would be maybe the one balancing thing for it. I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting to see. I'm really excited about it. Like you said, it was so funny because the first time I saw this game, one of my friends I was playing with, the first thing they told me was like what they said would be really cool if they added a new color to the game. And I was like, yeah, that would be cool, but that's not going to happen. And then like, here we go, set 3, a new color. So I know it's super exciting, and I'm excited about it. I didn't think I'd be this excited about it, but I'm actually like, oh my god, like my wheels are just turning, right? Like, what could it be? What could it be? So it's like it's really neat. All right, so moving on to the last topic for today, which is the one I'm the most excited about. Man, I cannot wait to talk about this, and that is ARG announced that they are doing the regionals. It's going to be from December to February, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Around that time, like.
Yeah, and they're doing best of 3 format, which is what you guys did there. They're doing it's going to be a 2-day event, and so you'll have like your first rounds, the first day, and then I guess top cut or the last couple rounds will be the next day, and then we have it's going to be and then they're going to have a best of 1 event on Sunday, which I think is super cool because a lot of times when you see these type of events, if you don't make best of 3, you're just done, right? You're like, well, I guess I'm, if I didn't make top cut, I should just go home. But here they're going to have a best of 1 event that you can join and do stuff, and so you can still play the next day, which I think is super cool, especially for people like me who have teams they play with. If 2 of your players make top cut, then like you just have to sit around and kind of wait all day. You know what I mean? So it's really cool that you have this other event you can join. It's really smart. I love to see that. And I also, Jim said that a website will be coming soon, which is exciting. We can start seeing some more stuff and get an idea of what's going on. So super pumped about this announcement. I mean, I know this is more for the more competitive players, but still, this is something that just has me. I mean, it just shows that our game is picking up steam. You know what I mean? Like we're getting more and more events, and we're it could be nothing but good things. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I love it. I know a lot of people are not fond of maybe like there being a 2-day event. The way I kind of look at it is, you kind of plan your trips beforehand, and at the end of the day, you're hanging out with your friends. It's a nice kind of like weekend getaway. You can say, hey, I went to like this town for the weekend. You can scroll out day 1 and just day 2. You can just hang out with your friends, and whatnot. Yep. Kind of make the most of it. I think with these events, it's all about how you make the most of it, and I think it being 2 days because it's best of 3 is a really good thing because there's something to do on Sunday as well. So it's not like you're just sitting around for like 2 days not doing anything. There's still events that'll be going on. It's still a good way to meet new people, get trades, and just kind of just enjoy the game and have fun. I think that's the main important thing, that all about community building and really just knowing that you don't have to feel like your time is being wasted because there's still something for you to do. It's one thing if it's just, the event for days 1 and 2, but, they're going to have either some cool side events that'll be taking place and whatnot. So you really get the full value of your days going to these events for sure.
Right. No, for sure. That's like you said. I mean, these are regional events, right? These aren't just like, a little event down the street at some shop. This is a big deal. I'm sure, prizes are going to be awesome. We haven't heard anything about prizes, but this is also fully Bandai supported too. Bandai's already announced that. And so these are going to be big events. And if the Gen Con event has anything, to show how much Bandai loves these types of events, then I'm going to tell you we're all in for a treat because they go all out, like I said. So this is something like you said that you can schedule ahead of time. You can go to the one that's the closest to you and you can really make a weekend out of it because that's what this should be, right? It should be time for you to go, hang hang out with your friends and really, have a fun 2 days playing Dragon Ball. You know what I mean? And whether you make day 2 or not, ARG has done a fantastic job to make sure that you have something to do the next day. And so there's no excuses for why you can't just go up there, take a group of friends, and just have a great weekend playing this game that we all love to play.
Yeah, that's worst case scenario. You scrub out and then you just enjoy the time with your friends. Right. Playing cards or doing something else or kind of exploring the town and whatnot. So, no, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh competitive before a while. I kind of stopped back in 2012. I think that's when like Dragon Ruler format with spell books came out, and but every Yu-Gi-Oh event I went to was so much fun because it was a Saturday, Sunday, and whether you screw out in the main event, it was still a lot of fun because you were still doing something. You were still like trying to get some trades, making connections, and just like playing games and having fun. Like a lot of cool side events and stuff. So it was never a bad experience anytime because you boys would be in a hotel room, testing the day before, and then after the main event on Saturday, if some of your friends made it in Top Cut, you help them test and you kind of prep them up. Kind of like like a coach kind of getting ready, prepping up their boxer for the
get
fight,
your boys ready to go.
Like make sure that they have their side deck ready, their deck list filled out. So it's a really good like bonding experience with like the people that you came with. Whether you could do good or bad. I think it's just a good overall experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, that's what I mean. These events are awesome. Plus, at ARG they have more than just this game in their regionals, right? Like I've never played an ARG event before, but I know you have. So like, do they normally have like all their regionals go the same day, and you have a bunch of different games going on and stuff too, or?
Yeah. So for New Jersey event, we had Pokemon, we had Force of Will, you had Super, you had Yu-Gi-Oh, and I think Vanguard, I'm not too sure, but usually you have a bunch of games in the same building going on at once. I know for these events, I think it's just going to be like Yu-Gi-Oh and Super occurring. I think at the same time, or at least in the same room anyway. So it's because we have like a huge space, so it's not something that's gonna feel like, oh man, like there's other card game players here. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal because we have our like own section and seating and stuff like that for ourselves, like a designated area. So it's not going to be that bad. But we do have a bunch of card games that exist at the same time, but you don't really notice them when you're playing. So it's not really. Not bad,
I mean, if Gen Con's anything, to kind of take an example from, they have tons of tournaments going on, every day, and whenever you're in the zone trying to play your game, you don't notice that. You don't notice other people playing or anything like that. You're just focused on your game. And what makes it fun is after your tournament, you have all these other fun games to go watch and go check out. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's, I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm really, really pumped about it. And like I would say, I like to do a special, thanks to Jim for setting this stuff up. I mean, this is a game that he, in my opinion, ARG is taking a chance on, right? I mean, this game is new. They don't know how well this is going to do, and I think our community and our support and how much we love this game has really started to show, and really starting to show these other event organizers just how good this game can be.
Yeah, again, huge shout out to Jim for working hard and making this possible.
Yes, sir.
He said, I don't know how many tournament organizers would really pick up this game since it's like so new, and people's history with Bandai games in the past. So there was a lot going against us for sure in the early stages, and still even to this day. So it's something that's over time I think would smoothen itself out. Right now everyone's working hard to try and, because they see the success, they see potential in the game. I see it. Everyone else sees this huge potential, and just kind of really working hard to just make it happen. Because there's a lot of games that can easily like fall into that same situation where it's great at the beginning and then there's no real support, and it kind of like the flame kind of withers away. So
right.
Just hope that doesn't happen with this game, because a lot of people put a lot of effort to make organized play happen, make the events great, find a good solution for everybody when it comes to best of one and best of three, in terms of even if you don't like best of three, put in some procedures to make like time fair for all. So like no one's gonna really be happy at the end of the day with the outcome, whether it's best of one or best of three, but everyone's just doing the best that they can. No one's doing this intentionally to say ha 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 screw you.
Right.
Everyone has the best interest at heart for the game and the community.
Yeah, and also, too, because of the way ARG has set this up, if you're not a big fan of best of three, or you don't, or you think maybe, you're not good enough to play in the a big regional event, like I said, that day two event is best of one, and it's something good for new players to jump into and learn the game as well. I mean, they're really covering both sides of players here, which is super unique and super cool. I love to see this, and I think that these regional events are going to have something for all players of Super to do, and that's awesome to see. I love to see the ARG is doing this, and like I said, I know me and my group are super excited. We're already making plans, once they release where they're going to be, to travel to a couple of them and stuff. So, I'm super excited. I couldn't be more excited about this, and I know that you are too. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, like I said, I can't wait. That's why I created a judges group. That's basically like a division of the main group, just because everyone has different roles, and if some people just want to judge, I love that, because like I said, I think judges are the backbone of any TCG community, any TCG period. If you have no judges, you don't have an event, and then people start losing interest in the game, because there's no one to really spearhead and direct players in terms of like a ruling or something like that. So for me, like, my focus now, since I don't really play, because I'm mainly like doing stuff behind the scenes, really just for judges, to get more judges and really like build them up to know the game and really help out. So if there's any dispute or discrepancy, it's can be handled.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we talked a little bit about this before we got started. Is two things that really takes to take the game to the next level is judges, which are the most important thing. And like you said, you've sacrificed a lot just to be a judge. And like judging these events aren't easy. You know what I mean? And the second thing is commentators. Same thing. To have these commentators and content creators to keep this game fresh, and so new players know where to go to get into the game, and they can help explain it. It's something else that and both those people take a huge hit because they can't play in these events, right?
Yeah.
But so taking the time and taking the effort to be one of those things is, in my opinion, a very needed thing to make these games succeed. So, and we already have so much. I mean, I know I'm part of the judge group too, and I tell you, man, it's there's so many people already interested in being judges. I know Bandai released a judge program too, and I think that's tons of people signed up for that as well. And so it's awesome to see just how fast this game is evolving. You know what I mean? Because this is really the first time I've been part of a game that at the ground level, a card game, and it's just so fascinating to me to see how quick it's evolving, and how every day it seems like we get new more and more people into the game, and to ARG to do this so soon this makes me so excited.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell like war stories to your kids, like when I was your age, I started GBZ, from the ground up and whatnot. And it's crazy because, we're in a place right now where we're kind of seeing a birth of a card game,
right,
and really seeing it kind of blossom. It's something that, I never expected. Plus the Bandai creators, like we talked in person, and the producer of the card game never expected the game to take off so quickly. I think, like anything else, I think it's the best word to kind of describe, I guess, is growing pains. It's because we have like a such diverse group of people from Yu-Gi-Oh!, from Pokemon, from Kaijudo, Panini DBZ, Naruto, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! Like basically all these different melting pots of different card games, hence all the different experience where certain games are only best of one, others are best of three. So everyone has mixed feelings on certain things of what they're used to. And then you just put them all together, and it's this game, So I think kind of seeing how everything's kind of unfolding, because things are happening so quickly. I mean, their Facebook group has close to 1,200, I think, followers or something like that.
Sir, I'll tell you,
and I know.
I think it was a week ago. It was like 10,000, and they've grown that much in a week, which is absurd.
Yeah,
I mean, it's insane.
And they only really advertising now on Fridays when they're releasing a new color. Mm-hmm. So it sees how fast the game is growing. And I know when I spoke to them, I asked them like, how do you guys view success in your eyes in terms of the game? Like, I know sales is one thing, that's like a given, but a lot, they really, for them, like the Facebook following is huge for them, to see how many people are really like liking it or interested in it. And they wanted to reach 20,000 by followers by in 2 years, and we're at close to 12. We're close to 12,000 within a couple of months, and the second set's not even out yet.
I know, that's insane. It's insane. I mean, honestly, how fast it's evolving is crazy. And I know at Gen Con they were blown away with how many people were interested in the game, because they had to turn some people away because the venue just didn't have enough space for them. and they were just like they were. It's like they didn't expect it at all. They were just like, "What do you mean people want to play this game?" It's like, yes, it's so much fun. I mean, I told the judges, I was like, "Guys, this game is one of the most fun games I've ever played." I mean, it's just it's so diverse and so there's just like you said, there's you can build the same type of deck 15 different ways. You know what I mean? And they're all good, and it makes it so much fun. It really does.
Yeah, it's very customizable. For those who are listening and you are on the fence, just give it a shot. I mean, it's cheap to get into as well, low investment cost. And you really can just do anything. Like you said, you can have like a green leader and just have red and green, like blue and yellow cards or whatever combination. It doesn't have to kind of match. And to know now we're seeing a lot of different engines where, the one-drop Boma that can search for a Trunks future. So you can splash a lot of mini engines within a certain deck, and you might see like, oh, this leader really works good with these kind of cards. Or this leader really works good with the cooler engine, but I'm not playing cooler as my leader, So it's a lot of mix and matching and possibilities. And like I said, we're going to have like 29 leaders once set 2 comes out.
Which is awesome.
Which is a lot. So,
well, I'll tell you, one of my favorite things about card games is I like making decks. I like building decks. That's my favorite thing. And this game just opens up, like you said, so many possibilities to build a deck. Like you can literally just, like you said, you can take advantage of an engine without even using, that leader's engine, and it makes it so much fun. It's how a lot of these decks got started. Like the Broly engine is a perfect example. Like that was created to run with Broly, but as we look at these standings, the 2 decks that run it is Vegeta and Goku. 2 completely different leaders. So it's just really fun. It's just really neat to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, guys. So we've been streaming for about 54 minutes, and so we're going to stream for probably about 6 more minutes, kind of go through a couple things. So this is the time for you guys to ask questions. If you have any questions you want to ask me or Aaron, just let us know. Pop it up. I'll read them out. And thank you guys all for being here. By the way, this again is going to be a weekly thing. We're going to do this every week on Wednesday. If there's a week that Aaron can't make it, I'll just find somebody else to pop up there and replace them. But this will be something we do every week, and that gives us a chance to talk to the community and kind of go over maybe concerns we have in the group, right, Aaron? I mean, anything that we see might pop up. So keep this in mind. Join us next week as well, and we'll have a little bit more information. Also, if you missed this cast or you're coming in halfway through, this cast will be up on Aaron's YouTube channel. So it'll be up on Mr. Waffles. And again, if you guys don't know how to get there, his channel link is right down here at the bottom of the video. It has his little face, and you can click it and go right to it. Subscribe to him, please, guys. Give Aaron. I mean, the stuff Aaron has done for this community and this group is honestly, I could sit here all night and talk about it. I mean, he's the admin of the largest group. He created it. He also has he's taking the self-sacrifice to be a judge for these events, these high-level events. And guys, he really deserves our respect. And thank you so much, Aaron, by the way, for being here. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Like I said, it's crazy when we started out like maybe a couple hundred people, and seeing how much it's just grown. Like now, we just passed 5K, and it's phenomenal. Again, seeing something from the ground up just kind of blossom. Yes. And like I said, in a short amount of time, because the game hasn't been out even a year yet, and all the stuff's happening. So my goal is really just to trying to keep the community as healthy as possible. Of course, there are going to be disagreements and stuff like that, but to kind of be respectful. That's one thing I just want to kind of hone in, especially when we're going to these events. People are going to win, people are going to lose. That's how any competitive scene is. But to kind of maintain that respect, I don't want it to be where people like stealing stuff and all that kind of nonsense. We want to hold ourselves to a higher standard.
Yes, please,
and
guys,
really. Yes. Make it enjoyable for all, because everyone here is, spending time and money just to try and enjoy themselves. And you don't really know what other people kind of going through, to know what people just stealing other people's stuff and knowing that, that must have been their last savings or something, or someone special gave them that deck. So just to be respectful to people. You can disagree, you can call them names or whatever, but personal insults, about the way someone looks and stuff, that's stuff that, me and other bunch of my moderators and, Dustin himself, we don't want to tolerate. So.
Right. No, I mean, that's a good point. That's actually something I want to chime in on too, is, guys, there's no reason for us to, especially content creators, there's no reason for us to kind of make fun of or turn down any content creator. If you take take it from me, if you take your time out of your day to make these videos and stuff, you deserve the respect of everyone, honestly. And again, we're talking about these ARG events too. We might not have the most people at those events starting out, but if we're the most respectable players, if we're the players that are polite and are always don't leave messes around, like you said, don't steal stuff from other people. ARG will take notice of that, right? And they actually would rather have us there than people that don't act that way. You know what I mean? So again, just because we can show how awesome our community is in a lot of different ways other than just numbers, right? There's plenty of other ways, and honestly, manners and respect go a long way, especially in these games. So I'm telling you, as a tournament organizer myself, if I have a group of players that are half as many as the other groups, but like are nice and respectable, I would rather have those guys every time, and that's a big deal for our game.
Yeah, we want that quality. The numbers are going to get there. It's going to get bigger, but we want to make sure that, the quality of the people, especially how they carry themselves, mainly how they carry themselves outside of, the group is important, because we're all probably going to see each other at some point face to face, and, people are going to remember what you kind of said. So,
when Aaron showed up with a baseball bat, be like, what did you say?
I mean, the internet brings out the worst of us. That's how it is, for anything, politics, religion, anything that we kind of do. But, just kind of making sure that, at least when we're in person, in public, to, kind of, if there's any issue, just kind of talk it out and just kind of be respectful, That's
definitely. All right, so let's start with the questions here. The first question we have is from LC Graphic. It says, what are the chances you think an event will happen at KamihaCon? KamihaCon, is that it? Is that right? Did I say that right? KamihaCon? Did you know about KamihaCon? Have you heard about this? It's like a new thing that got announced for Super.
Yeah, I never heard of it. Yeah,
it's a new thing that got announced for Super. It's essentially just like a Super only convention for Dragon Ball. And so, what do you think the chances of us having like an event there would be? What do you think that's something that Bandai would be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't see why not. I mean, they were there for New York Comic Con, Anime Expo. So I think anything related for Supers, at least just good, simple advertisement for them, whether, it's an event or they're just kind of like demoing some stuff. So I never heard about it, but I wouldn't kind of count it out. I think that'll be something that'll be Bandai might look into for sure. Because again, I never heard of it. If they know, then I haven't heard anything that they're going to be doing an event there. But I wouldn't count it out for sure.
Actually, it looks like it's going to be in May. Yeah, it looks like it's May 4th, and that's kind of when people are kind of predicting that the new set launches, right? Is around May or March, maybe? Was that when people think?
March, I think.
March, yeah, so it's actually different, yeah. Well, maybe we can see some spoilers, actually. Maybe some spoilers for another set there, kind of like they did at Comic-Con as well. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of almost impossible for them not to do something. I mean, like you said, it might not be a tournament, but I'm sure they might have some event, maybe do something like the Puzzle Hunt trucks that they did. Yeah. Go get like a special promo or something, or alternate art. Like I almost guarantee they'll have some sort of thing, especially by then, because that's like, that's a good ways away. So yeah, that should be almost a no-brainer. Sure. Okay, so what else we have here? Okay, so here's a good one from Dark Dean. Says, what are your opinions on Indestructible? What do you both think of Android 16 with blocker, revenge, 15,000, and untap ability? May the fourth be with you, definitely. So let's take the first part of that question. What do you think of Indestructible, Aaron? What do you think, man?
Yeah, so with Indestructible, of course, there's two different sides where it doesn't leave the battle area, period. So you can't combo with it. It just stays there. My opinion, so I'm just kind of waiting on an official ruling. I've heard, I talked to Bandai about it in person, about what the ruling was. And I don't know if I should say it yet, so I'm just kind of waiting. Right. But I'll just kind of give my take on it. I feel personally, and I'm not saying this is a ruling, that it should be able to obviously be shuffled in, bounced, placed, like put into play or something like that, or whatever the case may be, like put to the drop area, simply because if the card wasn't supposed to leave the battle area, I don't know why they inserted that other text of it can't be KO'd by opponent's card skills or by battle or something like that. They can have just simply said, indestructible, this card cannot leave the battle area. There's no room for any ambiguous interpretation of what that means for anything else. The moment when you add in KO, can't be KO'd by opponent's battle or card effects, then that leaves room to question, well, if I'm placing it on top of your deck, I'm not KOing it. If I shuffle it in, I'm not KOing it. And, the definition of an indestructible is cannot be destroyed. So when you KO something in this game, you're destroying the card. But if I'm shuffling the card into your deck, I'm not destroying it. It's just like a little loophole to kind of get around it. If anything, but then, you have the other text that says, and cannot leave the battle area, where people says, well, you can't shuffle it in because it can't leave the battle area. You can't do X, Y, and Z. It can't leave the battle area. So, just my train of thought is just like, I understand that, but why even mention KO? If you can't leave the battle area, period, you should just leave it like that.
Right,
There's
right.
no need to be specific.
Yeah, well, what I'll say is, I always like to approach these cards like from a game design standpoint. That's kind of where my background's at and stuff. So, in my opinion, I think this was designed to be a counter to control, right? This is a card that's designed to, because right now we see, a lot of control decks are kind of hard to get through, right? And so this is supposed to not work. Beerus can't take it away. Both the 4-drop and the 7-drop, right? It's just it's a threat that once you put on the table, control has they have to find a different way to get rid of this instead of just killing it. And I think that was the intent of the card. Now, in my opinion, if you want to combo it, you can, because to me, comboing is like a sacrifice effect, right? And so you can still get rid of it. To me, that's how it was supposed to be designed. Now, you're right though, where the wording's a little tricky, and I think that will get kind of ironed out in the FAQ. But in my mind, when I see this, it's like this can't be KO'd by anything, right? But like you said, it can be balanced, it can be shuffled back in, and I think that's kind of why those cards were created, just to kind of deal with this indestructible kind of effect. I mean, we see the was it the Gallic gun? Was that the one that like it bounces something, right? And so that card's pretty bad currently, right? Like there's nothing that we want to bounce. Most of the things that are played has some effect when it comes back into play. Everything has haste, so bouncing them just really doesn't do anything. But it gets an indestructible, that actually is something that you can do, right? That's something that might find a way to where you can bounce it to their hand and then discard their hand. Now you've got rid of the indestructible threat. You know what I mean? And so to me, from a design standpoint, this is not supposed to never leave the battlefield. It's just they were trying, I think, to emphasize that nothing could take it away. So I think what they're trying to do is do stuff like if they put in like a board wipe effect that says like kill all of your opponents or move all your opponents. I'm sorry, like if you KO all your opponent's battle cards, then it wouldn't affect this card because it can't leave the battlefield. You know what I mean? I think they were trying to emphasize that wording of it and not necessarily that it can't be balanced or it can't be shuffled in.
Yeah, so that's my I guess thought on it. When I showed him the producer of the card game, Indestructible, asking the question about it, he also pointed to Zeno, the 7-drop that negates all skills and then shuffles the stuff. So it's hard to really determine what it might be because I know Bandai also likes to add a lot of flavor in the card game, especially this set.
Yes.
So knowing that Zeno is the only thing that can stop Zamasu, like in the show, hence why his ability is, the one that can negate his skill and kind of shuffle it back. Or if you look at the 2-drop counter that Blue got with Trunks kind of sealing Zamasu, because that card also negates the skill of a battle card, hence negating Indestructible, which in the flavor, it works in the show kind of thing as well.
Right, exactly.
So. So I can, flavor-wise, I can see why, it can never leave the battle area, period. It's just, thinking from a player's point of view that, they should just say, just can't leave the battle area, and then that's it,
Right, yeah, definitely. Okay, and then the second part of the question is, what do you both think of Android 16 with Blocker, Revenge, 15K, and an untap ability? What do you think about the Android 16?
I think it's really, really good. Yeah, no, I think it's broken. I don't know, because honestly, in this game, at least in the first set, blockers don't really have much value to begin with. So, I
agree 100%. I say this all the time on my YouTube channel. Same thing is, I think blockers are just they're not very good right now. The only good ones like Goldo and then maybe Full Power Frieza, but other than that, honestly, they're just not very good. And so I'm really happy to see them releasing a blocker that you get some value out of, that you actually want to play.
Yeah, just the fact that now your opponent has to kind of dance around that, where they have to wait for. I mean, there's also a lot of removal in the game too, so I don't see it maybe sticking around for too long. But it does give you maybe that extra turn or two that you might need to maybe just gather some more energy to maybe play another one to get rid of it, or have that be a distraction, and you kind of work on something else while they're trying to get rid of it. So I think it's just a good, strong card. Obviously, there's ways around it, so that's why I don't think it's like OP by any means. But I think it's just strong based on how Android 16 is just really bulky, and it makes sense that he's a blocker. He's like the one that kind of really protects the others for the most part, and the more kind one out of all of them. So to be able to kind of keep standing and kind of protecting you is kind of like what he's doing in the show and kind of like in this game as well. So I think it's just a good card. And really nothing more, nothing less. I think it's not a bad thing to have, good cards, because you don't want to play bad cards. I think it's just a good, solid overall card for sure. Because then if your opponent is attacking with something higher, let's say like 20,000, even though it might die, you have to combo to save that 16. Otherwise, it would die as well.
Right.
So
Exactly.
even though it can stand up, that's only effective if if your opponent has something that has 10,000 power or less, they're not going to be swinging with it anyway. And anything that matches it, you have to combo to save it. So people always kind of forget that,
Yeah, they do. I mean, I agree. I mean, like honestly, like how many things that we currently play that has less than 15,000 power? I mean, there's not very many cards that we have currently that are played in decks that have 10,000 power. You know what I mean? Like, so there's very few things that this thing that's Android 16 will be able to kill that he isn't going to kill himself. You know what I mean? Now you could use some good cards with him, like you can use King Vegeta Surprise Attack, for example, which is going to be really cool. To give a good buff to him and stuff like that. But in the most part, he's going to trade 1 for 1, which is good. I mean, to me, if you play a blocker and he stops the attack and kills the person attacking, you've got value out of your blocker, right? Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so to me, even if he just does that, that's great. Something else to note about this card is he also untaps anytime he kills something, so he'll attack untap on offense too, which is important. So like when you play him, you can attack and kill something like a boo maybe or something, and then untap and then be ready to block next turn too. So he's a very versatile card, and don't get me wrong, I think he's going to be a very fantastic card, but by no means, I'm with you, I don't think he's going to be broken like people think he is.
Yeah.
Okay, next
people
question.
Forget you can. Oh, sorry.
No, go right ahead. No, go ahead.
People also forget you can also because combo is during the damage step. So when you assign the blocker, you can still combo.
Yeah.
Your opponent can still combo, and you can still combo. So I think a lot of people are forgetting that. What usually happens is I think bad habits kind of build on early, where players would attack, so person would assign a blocker and put the blocker to the discard pile. But I always ask my opponent if they want to combo, because they still have a chance to combo if they wanted to, and I still have a chance to combo to save my blocker. So a lot of times, since in the first set a lot of blockers are pretty much like 5k or 10, they kind of just dump it to the drop zone. They kind of keep forgetting that you can also combo to save the blocker if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they thought it was broken, because it will just keep unstanding. But again, if the power matches or is higher, if you don't save it, it dies too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know it happens to me a lot on Octagon, where someone will block my attack and they'll just take their guy away, and I'm like, whoa, did you want a combo? Maybe I want the combo. Like I can combo with like the green card, the green Gotenks card, and kill one of your things too. Like kill one of your 3-drops or whatever. There is still a process there. Like blocker is just letting you know that that's who you're attacking. No, it's not the end of the attack. You're 100% right. Okay, so next question says, on the Facebook page, I have seen the argument for if Enraged Gohan Awakening kills the battle card before autos can happen, or if they still go off. Seen a lot of people quote emails saying autos happen, but a lot of CR saying they don't. So Enraged Gohan Awakening. Let me look that card up real quick. Do you know what that does off the top of your head?
Is it the counter with like you discard a card and then then you pop the attacking card, I believe, or something like that? I think you KO the card that attacks.
I don't know. Is this set 2 card?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Right. Okay. Yeah. I'll just look it up real quick.
Cost 2, I think.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I'd say that's one thing about this game that I'm having a hard time doing, is remembering all the cards' names, because they're so big. They're all like so long and like
that's the Japanese card game for you. Just like explosive attacks. Like it's crazy because for Japanese games or Japanese anime in general, like every time they do like an attack is always in English, and it's like some absurd like Morning Star of Light, Thousand Suns attack or something like that.
It cracks me up. Yeah, it's like it's so hard for me to remember these card names. Yeah, it's so funny because even my group too, we always joke about it. We're like, we're not going to call it that. We're going to call him Teddy Bear. Like, we don't know his name. All right, so Enraged Gohan Awakening is a 2-cost, 2 green counter attack that says place 1 card from your hand in the drop area. Choose one of your opponent's attacking battle cards and KO it. Yeah. And the question is, if this card kills the battle card before autos can happen, or if they still go off. So in my mind, I'll let you answer this since you're the judge, but in my mind, this works the same way as full power energy does currently. I mean,
exactly,
even if it kills it, the autos still go off, right?
Yeah.
Now, something to remember about this, guys, is Champa's ability doesn't go off when this happens. This is a big, right? Am I correct by this, right? So if you kill
it wouldn't go off.
Yeah, right, it doesn't go off. And so that's something to remember. I've seen a lot of Champa players kind of miss this part of Champa's ability where, the thing has to live, and then if it does, it will go off.
Yeah. It's basically, for those who don't know, like the way the timing works in this is when you attack, your opponent has a chance to play a counter attack or, some kind of counter card. and if you don't have a response to that, then that counter card would resolve, and then your autos are basically pending, which is like kind of like in limbo. And if you have like two or more autos that kind of activate, you can choose the order in which they would activate. And so autos would still happen because you didn't. It's weird because you didn't stop them from attacking. You just just blew up the card. So that's why the autos would still work. Like when this card attacks, discard a card from your opponent's hand or something like that. So you didn't stop the attack. You just stopped it from like dealing damage, I guess.
It's similar. It's similar to Magic, right? Like where if you attack and someone blocks and you kill their blocker, it's still blocked, even though the blocker died. It's still that creature has still blocked. So it's the same thing with this. You've killed the creature. I mean the battle card, but it's still attacked, right? It's still doing its attack thing. So
yeah, I mean. My world, and this again is my opinion, so this is not a rule or anything. I mean, I wish that autos wouldn't activate if they leave the field, simply because it would make sense. That's they're no longer in the field. They can't check their auto ability kind of thing.
Right.
But that's it for like playing Yu-Gi-Oh or something like that. But in this game, it's not the case. So the autos would still pend. But I think it would add an extra layer if that wasn't the case, simply because now, autos I think they're like really free because the effect would happen no matter what. I think if you attack with a card and I respond by blowing it up, you wouldn't be able to trigger your auto, and that would actually make if Bandai wanted to create like, let's say, some new cards, they can still create like good auto abilities, like when this card attacks, knowing that there's a way to kind of respond to it. Right now, like for example with Beerus, even though how good he is, the fact that I can swing with him and then you still have to discard two no matter what, I think it's like it basically puts like Bandai in a spot where they can't really create too many powerful auto effects because it can really break the game, because they would happen no matter what. So
right, no, for sure. Okay, so going to the next question, we'll go to what is your opinions of the importance of hand supremacy in this game? Do you think it's more important than board supremacy, and do you feel people are sleeping on the new trunk support?
Okay, so hand supremacy, I guess, like in discarding cards.
Well, I think what they mean is like is having like if I have 12 cards in hand, but you have 4 things on board and I have nothing on board, is me having stuff in hand way better than you having stuff on board, where in other games it might be board presence is more important than hand supremacy, if that makes sense. So I guess what he's asking is the cards in your hand right now, is that too important? Like, is that too good? If I have 20 cards in hand, is that way better than anything else I can do in the game?
I think the real question would be not so much hand versus board, but like the X factor, which is energy, right?
Right.
So if I have 12 cards in hand but no energy, my 12 cards are pretty much useless. I think that question will have to be kind of more phrased in terms of like, with energy. Let's say if we had the same amount of energy, let's say we had 5 energy, and I had you had 12 cards in hand but no board, and I had 5 things on the field and no hand. I think in that case, like the hand advantage would win, because the energy is what makes things possible to happen.
Sure.
The energy fuels the hand, which fuels the field, not the kind of other way around. So in order for you to play something on the field, you need to have the hand to do it. But in order for you to play it, you also need the energy. So I would say like the hand advantage, because you have more options, is would always kind of prevail, barring that the energy amount for both players is the same.
Right. Well, what I'll say to this is I would say that, in every card game you play, well, I'm going to say everyone, but all the ones I've played, hand supremacy has always been the best, right? The hands, like the amount of, whoever has the most cards in hand normally wins. And in this game, it's just really apparent, right? Like, because you have comboing and stuff, it's very obvious that hand is really strong. But in a lot of games, people don't see that. They think if I have this big 12-12 in the field, that's way better than you having 8 cards in hand. Maybe that's not the case. Card advantage is always really good. And what I like to say in my videos, and what I like to say when I talk to new players, is even though your life has 8 cards, right, and a lot of people like to focus on that, your real life in this game is your hand. And if you have no cards in hand, you're basically dead, even though you might have 4 or 5 life, because, you know, not being able to combo, not being able to, you know, stop your opponent from attacking you is a big deal in this game. And so I agree that hand supremacy, I think, is a big deal. And I would say, yes, I agree that having a bigger hand is more important than having more things on field. But I think where this game balances that out at is being smart on your attacks, because even though you have things on the field, your field is kind of like your secondary hand, right? Because you can combo with cards on the field. And so, you know, just because you don't have a card in hand, you know, or whatever, you know, you can still make up that with board presence. You know, a boo is, while it's not in your hand, it's still 5,000 power. You know what I mean? It's just more vulnerable. So,
yeah, I agree. I mean, it's the reason why people try to keep other players at 5, right? Because every time you take damage, the card goes to your hand, right? It doesn't go to the field. So knowing that, you know, your opponent also will draw 2 extra cards when they awaken, and when they attack, they draw another card. You know, you don't want to give that swing, tempo swing to your opponent so freely. So,
right. Yeah. All right, so the next question, guys, we're probably going to take maybe one. We'll take this question and maybe one more if we have it, and that's it. I mean, we've already been streaming for about an hour and 20 minutes, and I think we didn't really want to run over an hour, but we do want to get to some of your classes' questions. So the next question comes from B-Wolf TV. It says, "What's your favorite card?" Question for both. So I'm not sure if this means what's our favorite card currently in the game or what's our favorite card for set 2. And so I'll just ask it as, you know, what's our favorite card, you know, in set 2 that we've seen so far, in set 1. Like, what is your favorite card?
Oh man, so many. I think one of my favorite cards in set 1 is King Cold. I really love that card.
That card's cool.
I think if you time it right, especially you know, kind of like, I would say baiting, but you're kind of like baiting your opponent into, you know, where they think they might have like certain thing like that might be lethal, and you know, you take one attack, and then you wait for them to attack with something else to kind of play it and tap the other card that's attacking and kill the battle card that attacked. There's a lot of different tempo swings that King Cold can really provide. So for me, he's definitely a unique card that I truly love. Simply because he reminds me of like 16, where, you know, when they attack, it has revenge, and then, you know, basically doing what he's basically like a mini blocker in a sense, a pseudo blocker. Right. So I would definitely say King Cold for set 1.
Yeah, something about King Cold too is people forget that when he comes into play, he rests somebody too. I've seen so many people not do that effect of his ability, and it's like, it's actually really devastating. Like, it can really, because like, you, not only do you kill something, you also can rest something else. So you can just completely destroy your opponent's battle plan by just playing that card out.
Yeah, so it's just really good because, you know, you can take the first damage from like a attack, swing with something else. You play a King Cold, you rest the other big unit, and then you kill the other unit attacked, and then you can follow up with a Mecha Frieza to pop the 2 cards.
Yeah,
the one that attacked, right. The one that got rested from the King Cold. So really big tempo swings for sure.
Yeah, no, very strong card. He's actually one of those cards too that's really hard to play around too, right? Like, I mean, you can just attack with your leader and be like, I guess ship the turn. I don't know, you know, but like, it's still like, you might have, you might not. So just showing 4 mana sometimes, 4 energy, can sometimes just like really put your opponent in this bad spot where he's like, does he have the cold? I don't know. You know, it's just it's a lot of mind games with this card.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd say my favorite card, we'll stick with yellow, and I'll say Raccoon Eraser Gun is my favorite card. I love that card. I feel like that card is just, I will find a way to break this card, I promise, guys, because its effect is unbelievably strong. It literally is like a pseudo time walk for your opponent. They can attack with their leader, and that's it. You know what I mean? And that's if they're smart enough to attack with their leader, you know, first, because if they attack with... I'm sorry, that's if they don't attack with the leader first. They attack with a battle card first to try to fish out Raccoon, you know, then you can, you know, counter that. But they attack with their leader first, you counter the leader's attack and stop them from attacking with anything else for that turn, and that's a big deal. I mean, that can really swing the game. So I think that's, in my opinion, my favorite card. I mean, it's not that great of a card, but it's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, guys. So I think that's it. I don't see any more questions in chat here. So before we go, I'm just going to say, again, a special thanks to Aaron for being here, dude. Thank you so much for doing it. I appreciate it. I know this is something we've wanted to do for a long time. It took me a while to get everything set up, but I appreciate you sticking with me and for your patience, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, man. It was a pleasure.
Oh, dude, it was so much fun. Definitely. Guys, remember, please check out Aaron. He's Mr. Waffles on YouTube. Again, you can get to his YouTube by clicking the little thing on the little link there. And also, you can check out this entire cast on Aaron's YouTube. We're going to put it up on Aaron's YouTube as well, so you guys can go check it there. I'm sure he'll have a link to that probably in the group or whatever there as well. And guys, thank you all so much for coming. Again, we're going to do this again next week too. This will be a weekly cast. You know, if Aaron can't be on here, I'll find somebody to take his spot, but hopefully Aaron can join us every time because I love having you on here, man. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I love the enthusiasm, and I love the channel, and you're doing like really great things for the community, and
Oh, dude,
it's
thank you so much.
hopefully a pillar of what people can kind of look up to. Another good one is 3XG, Get
Yeah.
Good Gaming. So we have a lot of, like I said, a lot of good content creators out there. So it was really cool to see people really getting excited about the game.
Yeah, well, like I said, thank you so much for the kind words, man. Like I said, I put a lot of time into it, so it's always great to see everyone enjoy it. But like I said, this community has been unbelievable to me. I mean, I'll tell you, we reached over 200 subscribers in 2 weeks, which is absurd to me. I never expected it to take off the way it did, and everyone's just been shown me so much love, and I cannot thank this community enough. And thank you for creating this awesome group. And honestly, if it wasn't for you making this group and supporting the game the way you did, I don't think I would have done as well as I did. So thank you, Aaron, for making such an awesome Facebook group.
Anytime, man. It's a pleasure. I appreciate it. Hopefully, we can meet in person sometime.
Oh, dude, definitely, yeah. Well, definitely those ARG events, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I would
Yeah.
I like to cast those events. I'm hoping I can do some casting for them, dude. I would love to do some
That would be
commentary.
great.
I love doing it, dude. It's so much fun. So, all right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming. Chat, thank you so much for being here, guys. We really appreciate it. Like I said, catch us next week. If you guys have any questions, we do have a little post up. Aaron making a little post about this cast on the Facebook group. If you guys aren't a part of the Facebook group, Aaron, why don't you go ahead and kind of tell them how they can get on that, because that's really important. That's something I really want to push, is that Facebook group.
Yeah, definitely. For those who are like either somewhat interested or curious about the group, it's called a Dragon Ball Super Community. Dragon Ball card game. I don't even remember the name of my own. It's a really long acronym. Let me just double check for
Yeah,
you guys
that's
here. I apologize for that. Let's see. One moment. All right. It's called. All right. The Dragon Ball Super Card Game Community Discussion Group. So really long name, but you guys just put that into the Facebook to search it. Click to join the group. We'll take you guys right in, no problem. What we also do is we also have a website, a community-based website called Shenron's Lair. That was done by Marcus. Simply as, when we have new players that come into the game, they have no idea where to go, where to either start or even look for a place to play. Basically, on that website, you can also just select your state, and then you can find a Facebook group that's part of that state, so that way you can kind of get plugged in and kind of meet people within your local area.
Yes, sir. That's awesome. Yeah. I posted the link to the group in the chat too, guys. So you can click that. If you're not already a member, you can just sign right up, and somebody will let you in for sure. Awesome, Aaron. Is there anything else you wanted to shout out? Like I said, Shenron's Lair for sure. Also, Jordan Mackerel too. I know I posted his YouTube video too. Again, guys, please check him out. Fantastic player, built a fantastic deck. You can check him out on YouTube as well. Is there anything else? Anybody else you want to shout out, man? Anything else?
I mean, of course, you for having me on. I appreciate it. It went so well.
That's no problem.
It's great.
No problem.
And of course, my brother-in-law, Shady Penguin. Always love to him. So he doesn't really do much super content as of yet. More like video game content, but anytime he puts up anything like super related, is always cool to check out as well. And there's a bunch of other people like Matt Coombs with his channel. 3XG, I believe. So
3XGs are awesome, guys.
Bunch of, yeah.
I'll tell you, man, everybody I've talked to so far, everybody that has asked me to help, like not help them, but be on their channel and do stuff, everybody's been awesome. There's not one content creator so far that I have not like enjoyed working with or talking to. I mean, everyone's such fan. We have such a cool community. I'm so excited to see it just blossom and get bigger. I mean, I just can't wait. It's gonna be so much fun.
Me too, man.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Like I said, we'll see you next week. And until then, guys, stay super.